We've got another Coffeemaker Showdown, y'all. This is the 10th iteration of my Coffeemaker comparison series, the Coffeemaker Showdown, and today we are looking at the OXO Barista Cup Coffee Maker. It also comes in a 12-cup version versus the Brazen Plus by Behmor. And Brazen Plus actually just released a new one that is integrated with your smartphone. You can check that out if you want, but this is a very popular option still, and they're both SCAA certified. Okay, so let's just go over what the Barista Brain is all about. Just one simple button slash dial is how you control it. As soon as you plug it in, you're going to want to set the time, and you just press the button like that. And if you want to brew coffee, you would just press the button again, select the number of cups, either 2 to 4 or 5 to 9, and then you press this again. I also really like this transparent reservoir here. It's the easiest one to see for sure. It just clearly labels 2 to 9 cups. In contrast, the Brazen Plus has some fill line indicators, but only for 6 and 8 cups. I'm not a fan of these fill line indicators because there's only 2 of them for one, and if I'm trying to make just 4 cups of coffee, which I often do, I cannot tell where I would need to fill this up. So normally what I do with the Brazen Plus is measure out my water. Other features that the Barista Brain boasts: you can set a timer. You can set a time for when you want your coffee in the morning or at night, whatever. Just like that. Then select number of cups. And then this timer icon will come, and of course it will alert you if something's missing and cancel it out if things aren't set. So you'll want to make sure, again, that you have everything in place before you brew. There's just a quick look at the reservoir opening. Okay, so it's a cone filter basket. It's got the brew pause mechanism on the bottom, so if you remove the carafe during the brew cycle, it will stop the flow of the coffee. We'll look at the shower head here. It's got 7 holes. This is the Brazen Plus's look in contrast. So it comes with a permanent filter, which you don't have to use. You could use a paper one. And then this is a flat filter basket. Said to not be as good for smaller quantities of coffee. The cone shape is supposed to help with extraction for smaller amounts of coffee. So that's basically saying the same thing twice, but just keep that in mind. It also has the brew pause mechanism. You're welcome to remove your carafe during the cycle. Okay, so last thing we're going to look at for now are the carafes themselves. So this is clearly a pretty big carafe. It is stainless steel, insulated. The coffee goes right through this lid into the carafe, and this long thing right here is actually something that's pretty unique. It is a mixing tube, they call it. And so that basically pushes the most recent coffee to the bottom of the pot so that you don't have your most freshly brewed coffee at the bottom of your pot. So when you first pour from the carafe, you'll be getting a mix of everything that was brewed. So it's gonna ensure that your cups of coffee are more balanced throughout the entire pot. The Brazen Plus has the same kind of deal here with the coffee going directly into the carafe. It's a smaller carafe, also stainless steel. There's no mixing tube or anything. I'm pretty sure that the Barista Brain is the only one that has that feature. So let's just take a quick look at the Brazen Plus's interface. 8 buttons versus 1, probably more complicated, maybe more intuitive for some people, but definitely are going to need to dive into the instruction manual. You'll also have to do that for the Barista Brain, but I feel like the learning curve isn't as steep. Basically, if you want to make your coffee, you're gonna have to turn it on first. The main reason that there are so many controls is because there's a lot of customizability. With the OXO Barista Brain, you can't really control anything beyond the serving size. So remember, we chose between 2 to 4 cups or 5 to 9 cups. You can't change the water temperature. You can't adjust the pre-infusion time. You can't adjust the boiling point depending on where you're located in the world. So if you're at high elevation, you can actually calibrate your temperature. Those are all things you could do with the Brazen Plus, hence the slightly more complicated control system. If that's something that's important to you, you know, adjusting temperature adjusting the bloom or the pre-infusion, which is basically when the coffee is wet before the actual brew cycle, similar to what they do in pour over. Then the Brazen Plus is, a good bet for that customizability. If you want something that is more simple, then you would lean more to something like the OXO Barista Brain. Now, blind taste test. I use 30 grams of coffee, medium grind, 540 grams of water for each of them, so an 18-to-1 ratio. The OXO finished in about 6 minutes and 20 seconds. The Brazen Plus finished just under 6 minutes. Check out some water temperatures. 159 for the OXO and 173 for the Brazen. That's one hell of a difference right there. So this is post brew on the plates. Basically, there's some drippage, as you can see, for the OXO. None present for the Brazen Plus, but I have noticed that when the basket is removed, that's when some dripping issues do start to occur. So I'm gonna pour these out into 2 identical mugs. One has orange, that's gonna be for OXO. The other has blue, that's gonna be for Brazen. I'm gonna shuffle them around. Also, no real spills. I have found though that the OXO's craft, in order to pour out the last drop, you have to flip it upside down. It's not the case with the Brazen. Time for the tasting. Gonna shuffle these around. Hope I don't spill. My eyes are closed. Okay, number 1. I'm picking up a little bit of rose too. Okay, number 2. Not picking up as much aroma. All right, I gotta taste that again. So this one had a more caramely taste. This one had a more fruity taste to it. They both had chocolate undertones to them. Okay. All right. So I like this one better. This one was a little bit more bitter and didn't have as much of the complexity that this one had. So let's see what that was. It's blue for Brazen. Now it could be, what my sense is that the higher temperature of the Brazen, I mean, we saw what the temperature discrepancy was post brew. So my inkling is that the OXO didn't brew quite hot enough, at least on this round, to bring out the most in this coffee. What that makes me think is that the OXO is probably going to do well for most darker roasts. Might be harder to get out the best of the lighter roasts. So with that said, as I was interrupted by the doorbell, basically the Brazen Plus, its customizability is going to be better for different roasts. That would be my conclusion. So let's just recap real quick. In terms of price, these both retail at the same amount of money, at least at the time of this video. That's around 200 bucks. In terms of value, the Brazen Plus is going to give you more value in my opinion, just because of its extra features. But if you don't need those extra features, and those extra features are adjusting your temperature or calibrating the boiling point, then I think the OXO will do just fine. In terms of the quality of the coffee makers, I mean, they're both good quality. I can't say that one's better than the other. They're both made overseas, so I know that disappoints a lot of people. I prefer, just in terms of quality, I prefer the design of the interface better. I think it's much more sleek and simple with the OXO. I also prefer the reservoir in terms of its markings. However, the Brazen does have a stainless steel reservoir, so that's something that not many coffee makers can say that they have. The mixing tube is kind of a cool feature for the OXO, but I don't think it's necessarily something that is going to make a huge difference. As far as the carafes go, I think the Brazen Plus also has better carafes, so I would say the Brazen Plus is slightly better quality in my opinion. Design, it would easily go to the OXO. I think the appearance of it it's really nice, and it's slightly bigger, so if you don't have a lot of space in your kitchen, then you probably wouldn't want to go for that, but it is definitely the most aesthetically pleasing. And then coffee quality, I'm going to give to the Brazen Plus here, which isn't to say that the OXO is bad, but just in this blind taste test, Brazen won. And sure, I have to do more rounds at different temperatures, different roasts. One blind taste test with one person isn't going to give you any significant conclusions here, but that was just my 2 cents. Versatility, Brazen Plus can do more in terms of its features, but the OXO has plenty of features too. It's kind of a middle ground between the Bonavita and the Brazen, similar to the KitchenAid, I would say. Durability, I mean, I've had the Brazen for 2 years now. The OXO I've only had for a little more than a month. So time will tell, but they both seem to be holding up quite well. Cleaning ease, it's easy to clean both of them. The OXO has an indicator that will tell you when it's time to descale. I believe the Brazen has something that's similar, but I will have to follow up with that in the written review. So if you liked this comparison, or this showdown if you will, and please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, I'll have more of them, and make sure you check out my full review at the link below. I'll also try and link up to it here in the video. So thanks so much for watching, and feel free to comment with any questions that you have below, or if you have experience with these coffee makers, let other people know what's up. Thanks.